Hey guys, tonight we are going on a journey to the very edge of reality itself. We're going to stand in the quiet hum of a laboratory in the dead of night and watch as the impossible unfolds. You can almost smell the ozone in the air, a faint, sharp scent like the world after a lightning storm, mixed with the comforting aroma of old books and cooling electronics. You're there at the precise moment the wall between our world and another begins to thin, to shimmer, to peel away. It's a discovery that will change not just your life, but the definition of life, the universe, and everything. And let's be honest, given the infinite possibilities and unknown dangers that come with tearing a hole in space-time, you probably won't survive this. The odds are just not in your favor. Before we begin, if you'd like to join me on more journeys like this one, consider hitting like and subscribe. It helps our community find more fellow travelers with the same curiosity. We love seeing where everyone is tuning in from, so feel free to drop your location and local time in the comments below. Now, find a comfortable position, take a deep breath, and a slow breath out. Let's allow the noise of the outside world to fade away as we begin our adventure of the mind. It begins not with a bang, but with a flicker, a distortion in the air in the far corner of your laboratory. It's 3 a.m, a time when the world feels like it's holding its breath, and you're alone. The only sounds are the gentle hum of the servers along the wall and the rhythmic drip of a leaky pipe somewhere down the hall. A sound that has become a strange sort of companion in these late night sessions. You're poring over stellar spectroscopy data, looking for the telltale signatures of exoplanets. When a movement catches your eye, you dismiss it at first. A trick of tired eyes, a reflection from the monitor playing on a polished metal surface. But it happens again. You take off your glasses, rubbing the bridge of your nose, and look directly at the spot. It's about 6 feet off the ground, right in front of a heavy, duty shelving unit laden with old circuit boards and forgotten prototypes. The air itself seems to be shimmering, like heat haze rising from asphalt on a blistering summer day, except the lab is chilled to a steady 68 degrees. It's localized, contained within a roughly circular area about the size of a dinner plate. It's utterly silent, yet it feels loud, a visual scream in the quiet room. You stand up, your chair scraping softly against the concrete floor. The data on the screen is forgotten. Your heart, which had been beating in a slow, steady rhythm, gives a sudden, sharp kick against your ribs. You walk towards it slowly, cautiously, your slippers making a soft, shuffling sound. As you get closer, you see it's not just a shimmer. There are colors within it, faint and fleeting, like oil on water. Hues of violet and emerald, and a deep, impossible blue swirl and twist, not reflecting light, but seemingly emitting it. You stop a few feet away, extending a hand not to touch it, but as if to feel for any change in temperature. There's no heat, no cold, no discernible radiation your senses can pick up. It's just there, a silent, beautiful, terrifying impossibility. Your scientific mind kicks in, overriding the primal urge to run. Hypothesis 1, I'm hallucinating, a very real possibility. You've been working 70-hour weeks, fueled by lukewarm coffee and a stubborn refusal to admit defeat on the exoplanet project. Sleep deprivation is a powerful hallucinogen. You look around the lab, naming 5 objects to ground yourself. The red fire extinguisher, the scuffed black keyboard, the chipped ceramic mug with a fading cartoon cat, the silver-framed photo of your college graduation, the dusty, unused gas chromatograph, They are all solid, real, indisputably there. You look back at the shimmer, it's still there too. So, maybe not a hallucination. Hypothesis 2, an equipment malfunction. This is more plausible. You have a dozen different high-energy devices in this room. Perhaps the old magnetron from that particle acceleration experiment is leaking. Or maybe the new gravimetric sensor array is creating some kind of localized field effect. Scientists still argue whether certain quantum phenomena can manifest on a macro scale, and you wonder for a fleeting moment if you're about to win a Nobel Prize or simply fry your eyebrows off. You check the readouts on your main console. All systems are green. Power consumption is normal. No radiation alerts. Nothing is out of the ordinary except for the very ordinary air in the corner deciding to put on a laser light show. You inch closer still, your curiosity wrestling with a deep, instinctual fear. This is the part in the movie where the unsuspecting scientist gets vaporized. You can almost hear the audience yelling at the screen, but you can't stop. This is a mystery, and your entire life has been dedicated to solving them. The mainstream fact you cling to is that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form to another. So whatever this is, it has to be drawing power from somewhere. The quirky tidbit that floats into your mind is the concept of St. Elmo's fire, the strange plasma that can appear on the masts of ships during a thunderstorm, a phenomenon that mystified sailors for centuries. This feels like that, something natural yet utterly alien. You're now close enough to reach out and touch it. The shimmering has a depth to it now. It's not flat. It's like looking into a churning, colorful mist. You can't see the shelves behind it anymore. It's opaque. The air around it feels thick, heavy, like the pressure is different in its immediate vicinity. You hold your breath, every nerve ending alive with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. For a moment, just a moment, the colors part, the mist clears, and you see something inside. It's not the shelving unit. It's a flash of something else. Something green and alive, like leaves on a tree you've never seen before, under a sky that isn't blue, but a soft, gentle orange. Then, just as quickly, it's gone, replaced by the swirling, chaotic colors. But you saw it. You know you saw it. It wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a hallucination. It was a window. And with that certainty, the fear doesn't vanish, but it crystallizes into a single, overwhelming thought: I have to know more. You glance at the door, thinking you should call someone, tell someone. But who would you call? What would you even say? Hi, Professor, sorry to wake you, but the universe appears to have sprung a leak in my lab. No, I haven't been drinking. They'd think you'd finally cracked. No, this is yours. Your discovery. Your anomaly. For now, you turn back to the silent, shimmering spectacle, 1,000 questions burning in your mind. And you know, with absolute certainty, that you are not going to get any sleep tonight. The world has just become infinitely larger, and you are standing on the shore of a new, unknown ocean. Are you still awake? Good. Let's see what happens when that window opens a little wider. When you're ready, we'll continue. The glimpse you caught, that fleeting image of strange leaves under an orange sky, replays in your mind on a loop. It's the hook, the piece of data that transforms the anomaly from a mere curiosity into an obsession. You spend the next hour running every diagnostic you can think of. You use a thermal camera. It shows the shimmer is the exact same temperature as the ambient air. You set up a high-speed camera, hoping to catch that momentary clarity again, but the recording just shows the same hypnotic, colorful swirl. You even, in a moment of what feels like slightly silly, old-school science, take out a compass. The needle, which should point steadfastly north, spins lazily, as if bored and confused by the whole affair. This is a mainstream fact. You know well the Earth's magnetic field is a powerful, planetary scale force. For it to be disrupted so locally is, well, it's another piece of impossible data to add to the pile. You pull a chair over and just sit watching it. The initial adrenaline spike has faded, replaced by a deep, thoughtful calm. The fear is still there, a low hum in the background, but your scientific training is a formidable shield. You observe, you document, you hypothesize. The shimmer is no longer a dinner plate. It's growing slowly, almost imperceptibly. It's now the size of a large pizza, maybe a small car tire. It's not expanding outwards like a balloon, but seems to be resolving. The chaotic swirling of colors is becoming more organized, the patterns less random. It's as if a lens is slowly coming into focus. You remember reading about exotic theoretical objects, things like cosmic strings or domain walls, hypothetical boundaries in space-time left over from the early universe. Scientists still argue whether these are purely mathematical constructs or if they could have a physical reality. Could this be one, a fold in the fabric of the universe, right here in your rented lab space on the outskirts of the city? It seems absurd. And yet, the evidence is right in front of you, shimmering away with a profound indifference to your disbelief. A quirky tidbit you once read comes to mind. In the 17th century, the first person to see microscopic organisms, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, was initially disbelieved. He was seeing a whole new world in a drop of pond water, and people thought he was mad. You feel a sudden kinship with him. As the shimmer grows, so does its clarity. The momentary glimpses become longer, lasting for a second, then two, and the image is always the same. It's a view of your own lab, but not. It's a perfect mirror image, but subtly, terribly wrong. The fire extinguisher in the reflection is blue, not red. The poster on the wall isn't of Einstein sticking his tongue out, but of a woman you don't recognize with stern eyes and a severe haircut. The stacks of books on your desk are there, but the titles on the spines are in a language you can't read, the letters familiar yet combined in alien ways. It's like looking into a funhouse mirror, if the funhouse was designed by a surrealist painter with a grudge against reality. The silence of the event is what continues to unnerve you. Something this profound feels like it should have a soundtrack. A deep, resonant hum, a crackle of energy. But there's nothing. You can still hear the drip, drip, drip of the leaky pipe. You can hear the soft whir of your own breathing. It's a silent movie of the impossible. You stand up again, your joints protesting slightly from sitting in one position for so long. You walk closer, drawn in by the sheer fidelity of the image. It's not a projection. It's too perfect, too three-dimensional. When you move to the left, your perspective on the other lab shifts accordingly. It's a window, not a wall. You are now standing less than a foot away. The circular window is about 4 feet in diameter, a perfect, shimmering circle of wrongness hanging in the air. The boundary is sharp now, a clean edge between your world and that one. You can see the dust motes dancing in the air of the other lab, illuminated by a light source that seems to be in the same position as your own overhead fluorescent bulb. But there's a flicker in the other light, a slight inconsistency that makes it feel different. And then you notice the biggest difference of all. the calendar on the wall in the other lab. It's the same design as yours, a cheap one from the university print shop. But the year printed at the top is different. It's 1 year ahead of your own. This sends a fresh jolt through you, more powerful than the first. Time. It's not just a spatial difference, it's a temporal one. Or at least, their calendar is different. It's another variable in an ever-growing equation of madness. You have this sudden, absurd fear that your own double is going to walk into the frame on the other side. What would you do? Wave. Scream. Run. It's a laughable, a terrifying thought. You wonder if they would look like you, or if the subtle differences of that world would have shaped them into someone else entirely. Maybe they have a cooler haircut. It's a dumb joke, but it's enough to break the tension in your own mind, a small release valve of humor in the face of the incomprehensible. The glass of the window is perfectly clear now. The shimmer is gone, replaced by a stable, open portal. The air on your side still feels normal. The compass on the table has stopped spinning and now points resolutely at the portal itself, the needle quivering as if in desperate supplication. The anomaly, the window, the portal, whatever you want to call it, is no longer a passive phenomenon. It's an invitation, a silent, terrifying, irresistible invitation to see what's on the other side. And you know, with the kind of certainty that precedes either a great discovery or a great catastrophe, that you're going to have to get closer still. Are you comfortable? Is the pillow just right? Because the next step is a big one. Let's see if you're ready for it. The invitation hangs in the air, a perfect circle of silent, altered reality. The logical part of your brain, the part that passed exams and writes research proposals, is screaming a long list of reasons why you should back away, call the authorities, and maybe move to a different continent. But the other part, the curious, insatiable, hopelessly human part, is deaf to those warnings. This is the discovery of the century, of any century, and it's happening in your lab, to you. To walk away now would be a betrayal of everything you are. So you decide to interact. Not by jumping through it, you're not that crazy. Yet, you start with something small, something disposable. You look around the lab and your eyes land on a cheap ballpoint pen on your desk. It's half out of ink, and you probably stole it from a bank. Perfect. You pick it up. It feels reassuringly solid in your hand, a known object in a world that has suddenly become unknown. You walk back to the portal, your heart thudding a nervous rhythm against your sternum. The air, right at the edge of the opening, feels strange. It's not a temperature change, but a pressure difference, a subtle, tactile resistance, like pushing your hand into cool, thick syrup. You hold the pen out in front of you, a knight extending a very flimsy, plastic sword. You take a deep breath and push it forward. The moment the tip of the pen crosses the threshold is both incredibly dramatic and profoundly anticlimactic. There's no flash of light, no sound of sizzling energy. The pen simply enters the other space. You push it further until half the pen is in your lab and the other half is in the blue, fire, extinguisher, and weird calendar lab. You can see the other half of the pen perfectly. It doesn't look distorted or damaged. It's just there. You wiggle it. The other end wiggles in perfect synchrony. You pull it back out. The pen is intact. It's not hot, not cold. It's just a pen. You click it a few times. Still works. This is monumental. A physical object has crossed the barrier and returned unharmed. This isn't just a window, it's a doorway. A stable, traversable doorway. The implications of this are so vast They're hard to process. Trade, communication, warfare, your mind reels with the possibilities, both wondrous and terrifying. You need more data. A pen isn't enough. You need to test it with something more complex, your smartphone. You hesitate for a second. It has all your contacts, your photos, your life. It's also a highly complex piece of electronics. What if the crossing fries it? But you have to know. You turn on the camera, the screen showing a live feed of the lab ceiling. You extend your hand again, this time holding the phone, and slowly push it through the portal. The phone passes through the shimmering boundary as easily as the pen did. On your side, your hand is empty. On the other side, visible through the portal, your phone is floating in mid-air, held by an invisible, ghostly hand. You left the camera app running. You wonder what it's recording. Is it seeing the other lab from that new perspective? You pull your hand back, and the phone comes with it, emerging from the other side back into your grasp. You look at the screen. The camera feed is still live, but it's frozen on a single, corrupted frame of digital noise, a chaotic pattern of green and purple pixels. It's dead. The battery is full, but the device is completely bricked. Interesting. So simple physical objects can pass through, but complex electronics cannot. At least not this kind. It's a vital new rule. A mainstream fact of physics is that information can't be destroyed. So what happened to the data on your phone? Was it scrambled, erased, or converted into something else? It's a technological and philosophical puzzle, a quirky and slightly morbid. A tidbit you remember from history class is how medieval physicians would sometimes taste their patients' urine to diagnose illnesses like diabetes. It was a crude, hands-on diagnostic tool. You feel a bit like one of those physicians, poking and prodding at the unknown with the limited tools you have. You're not about to taste the portal, though. You have your limits. You decide on the next logical and far more terrifying step, a biological test. You look around the lab for a test subject. Your eyes fall on the small, potted succulent you keep on the windowsill. It's a hardy little thing, a survivor of your infrequent watering schedule. You've named it Spike. You feel a pang of guilt. Is it ethical to subject Spike to this? But then you rationalize it's for science. Sorry, Spike. You pick up the small terracotta pot and carry it to the portal. The plant seems to droop a little, as if it knows its fate. Or maybe that's just your guilt projecting. You push the pot through. The terracotta, the soil, the plant itself. It all crosses the threshold without any visible issue. You hold it there for a full minute, half in your world, half in the other. Then you slowly pull it back. Spike is alive. The leaves are still green and plump. The soil is still dry. There's no sign of damage. A living organism, albeit a simple one, can cross and return. This changes everything. Again, the barrier seems to permit the transfer of organized matter, but not the complex, electromagnetically stored information of your phone. Scientists still argue whether consciousness itself is a product of complex information processing in the brain or something more fundamental. The phone's failure and the plant's survival opens a very unsettling line of questioning about what would happen to a human brain. Would your thoughts, your memories, be wiped clean like the phone? Or are they more like the plant, a robust biological structure? There's only one way to find out, and the thought, once it forms, is impossible to dismiss. You have to touch it, just a finger, to feel what it's like. It's a monumentally stupid, unjustifiably reckless idea. It's also the only thing you can think about. You've come this far. the pen, the phone, the plant. They were all just surrogates for the real question. Can you cross? You stand before the silent, stable gateway to another world. You take a deep, shuddering breath, the air tasting of dust and ozone, and the electric tang of discovery. You raise your hand, your fingers trembling slightly. You are about to touch the unknown. Are you still with me? Don't drift off just yet. The most important moment is about to happen. Let's take that step together. You stand there for what feels like an eternity, your hand hovering in the space before the portal. The silence of the lab is absolute now, as if the entire universe is waiting to see what you'll do. The drip from the leaky pipe seems to have stopped. Even the hum of the servers sounds muted. It's just you, your thundering heart, and the perfect, circular doorway to somewhere else. You've done the preliminary tests. You've established some basic rules. Simple matter passes. Complex electronics don't. Simple life survives. But you are not simple life. You are a tangled, chaotic, self-aware knot of electrochemical signals, memories, and anxieties. What will happen to that knot when it passes through the veil? You can't stand the waiting anymore. With a final surge of resolve, you close your eyes and push your hand forward. You expect something, a shock, a burning sensation, a feeling of disintegration. You get none of it. What you feel is odd. The initial resistance, that syrupy thickness, gives way to a bizarre pins and needles sensation, not painful, but incredibly strange, like the feeling of a limb waking up after falling asleep, but all over your skin at once. It's a tingling, electric fizz that seems to permeate your very atoms. Then, just as quickly, the sensation is gone. You open your eyes. Your hand is through. It's on the other side. You are looking at your own hand, pale and slightly trembling, floating in the air of another universe. It's the single most incredible, most terrifying thing you have ever seen. You flex your fingers. The fingers on the other side flex in perfect response. You can feel it. The connection is flawless. The neurological signals from your brain are traveling down your arm across an incomprehensible boundary in space-time and actuating your muscles in another reality. And the sensory information is coming back just as clearly. You can feel the air on the other side. It's cooler than your lab, and it feels drier. There's a faint, almost unnoticeable breeze. You pull your hand back out. The tingling sensation happens again, a brief, fizzy transit, and then your hand is back in your own world. You stare at it, turning it over and over. It looks perfectly normal. No burns, no discoloration, no sudden alien growths. It's just your hand. But it's not. It's a hand that has been in another universe. It feels different to you now, sacred and strange. The success of the test emboldens you. The fear is still there, a co-pilot in your mind, but it's no longer in control. Curiosity has the stick. If a hand can cross, what about a head? The thought is both logical and horrifying. This is the real test. Your brain, your consciousness, yourself. A quirky tidbit you once learned is that the human head, despite being only about 8% of the body's mass, receives about 20% of the blood flow and oxygen. It's a resource, hungry, delicate, and ridiculously important piece of equipment. Shoving it through an interdimensional portal feels like a warranty, voiding activity if there ever was one. But you have to know. You take a deep breath, trying to calm your racing pulse. You lean forward, aiming to just poke your head through enough to see. You close your eyes again, not out of fear this time, but as a control. You want your first sight of the other world to be with your own eyes. not through the mediating lens of the portal. You feel the tingling fizz wash over your face, your ears, your scalp. It's an intensely weird sensation, like dipping your head in a glass of champagne that's also somehow plugged into a wall socket. Then, silence. Stillness. You take another breath. The air you draw in is different. It's the cool, dry air you felt on your hand. It smells different, too. Cleaner. Sharper. It lacks the familiar scent of your own lab's dust and old coffee. It smells of ozone and something else, something faintly metallic and sterile. You open your eyes. You are there. You are looking out into the other laboratory. It's not a view through a window anymore. You are in it. Your perspective is fully within the other space. The blue fire extinguisher is to your right, looking solid and real. The strange calendar is directly in front of you. The light from the flickering overhead bulb is slightly dimmer than your own. You turn your head to the left, and the world turns with you. You see the doorway of the other lab, which leads into a hallway that is identical to your own, yet feels profoundly different. It's the silence that is most striking. Your lab has the familiar hums and drips of life. This place is utterly, completely quiet, not just empty, but still, as if it's been abandoned for a long time. You pull your head back. The fizzy transit happens again, and you're back in your own world. The familiar, warm, slightly musty air filling your lungs. You stumble back a step, your mind reeling, trying to process the sensory data. You did it. You put your consciousness, your point of view, into another universe and brought it back. The mainstream fact that you are where your brain is has just been tested in the most extreme way imaginable. And you're still you. Your memories are intact. You remember your name, your research, what you had for breakfast 3 days ago. It was toast, slightly burnt. The phone's data might be too fragile to make the trip, but the human mind, it seems, is robust enough. Or maybe, and this is a thought that will haunt you later, the information is different. Scientists still argue whether memory is stored in specific neurons or as a distributed pattern across the brain. Perhaps the portal scrambles one kind of information, but not the other. There's no more testing to be done. There's no more hesitation. You've breached the final frontier in stages, and there's only one thing left to do. You can't just peek. You have to go all the way. You look at the portal, this perfect circle of invitation. It's a door, and you have to walk through it. You check your pockets. Wallet, keys, a uselessly bricked phone. You feel a bit like a tourist packing for a trip to a country that isn't on any map. You take a running start. No, that's not right. This moment requires more dignity than that. You walk calmly, deliberately, towards the circle of light. You take one last look at your lab, at the comfortable, familiar chaos of your life's work. Then you face forward, square your shoulders, and step through the looking glass. The tingling fizz washes over your entire body, a brief, electric baptism, and then you are standing, whole and unharmed, on the other side. You are in another universe. The silence is the first thing that truly hits you. It presses in on you, a physical weight. You turn around. The portal is still there, a shimmering, beautiful window back to your world. Through it, you can see your lab, your desk, your chair. It looks like a diorama, a perfect miniature of a life you just left behind. You are an astronaut who has just stepped out of the capsule, and the Earth is a small blue marble in the distance. You have taken the plunge, and as you stand there, breathing alien air, you have absolutely no idea what you will find. Still with me, Your breathing should be getting deeper now, more regular. But the journey is just beginning. When you're ready, let's explore this silent, new world together. You stand in the silent laboratory of another world, the portal shimmering behind you like a captured slice of sunset. For a full minute, you do nothing but breathe. You focus on the simple mechanics of it. Inhale the cool, sterile air, exhale slowly. It's a grounding technique, a way to convince your nervous system that you haven't just shattered every known law of physics. The air has a strange, clean taste like distilled water. It lacks the organic, dusty complexity of your own world's atmosphere. It makes you wonder about the microbiology here. Are the bacteria different? The viruses? You've just exposed yourself to an entirely new ecosystem of pathogens. It's a cheerful thought. You make a mental note to worry about catching an extra universal common cold later. Your first instinct is to explore this other lab. It's a mirror of your own, but the reflections are all wrong. You run your hand along a workbench. It's the same steel surface, but it's cold and impossibly clean. There are no smudges, no coffee rings, no scattered detritus of late night work. It's a lab that feels unlived in a museum exhibit titled Scientist's Workshop. The blue fire extinguisher is real, solid when you tap it with your knuckle. You look at the strange poster on the wall, the one with the stern-looking woman. The text beneath her portrait is in that familiar, yet alien script. You can't read the words, but you recognize the layout of a dedication. Who was she? A pioneering scientist in this reality, a political leader. The calendar is the most unnerving object. It confirms the date you glimpsed 1 year ahead of your own time. The days and months are named differently, with characters you don't recognize, but the grid is the same. 7 days a week, roughly 30 days a month. It's a mainstream fact that many ancient cultures, from the Babylonians to the Egyptians, developed 7-day weeks, often linked to the 7 visible celestial bodies: the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. It seems this fundamental rhythm of life, this 7th-day pulse, is a constant across realities, a small, comforting piece of shared order in the vast chaos. You decide you can't stay in the lab. The silence is too oppressive, and the call of the unknown is too strong. The portal seems stable, a reliable escape hatch back to your reality. You feel a strange sense of confidence, perhaps misplaced, that you can return whenever you want. You walk to the door of the other lab and pause with your hand on the handle. It's a simple, brushed steel lever, identical to your own, but it feels momentous. Opening this door is the true commitment. It's stepping out of the airlock. You push it down. It opens with a soft, oiled click into an equally silent hallway. The building seems to be a perfect replica of your own university's science department. The same drab, linoleum floors, the same pale, institutional green on the walls. But again, it's the details that are wrong. The emergency exit signs are a different shape, an abstract symbol of a running figure rather than the familiar block letters. The light fixtures are sleeker, more modern looking. And above all, there is the silence. Your university is never this quiet, not even at 3 a.m. There's always the hum of a vending machine, the clank of the heating system, the distant sound of a security guard's patrol. This place is as silent as a tomb. You walk down the hallway, your soft-soled shoes making no sound on the pristine floor. You feel like a ghost. You pass doors with nameplates, but the names are all unfamiliar, written in that strange script. You reach the main entrance of the building, a set of large glass doors. You push one open and step outside, and you stop stunned. The sky is not blue. It's a pale, luminous orange. At the color you glimpsed through the portal, it's not the color of a sunset or sunrise. It seems to be the sky's permanent, natural hue. High above, two small, bright moons hang in the daytime sky, one a brilliant silver, the other a faint, ghostly white. You stare at them, your mouth slightly agape. A two-mooned orange skied earth. It's beautiful and deeply, fundamentally wrong. A quirky tidbit you recall is that our own moon is responsible for stabilizing Earth's axial tilt, giving us our relatively stable climate. You wonder what having two moons does to a planet. Are the tides chaotic? Are the seasons more extreme? You are standing on the steps of your university, but it's not your university. The layout of the campus is the same. The library to your left, the student union to your right, the great lawn stretching out before you, but the architecture is different. The buildings are sleeker, more angular, made of a dark, glass-like material that seems to drink the orange light. There are trees, but their leaves are a dark, almost black shade of green, the kind you saw in your first glimpse. And there are no people. No students hurrying to class, no professors lost in thought, no maintenance staff tending to the grounds. There are no cars on the campus roads, no birds in the strange trees. The silence that filled the building is spread across the entire city. It's an unnerving, profound emptiness. You walk down the steps and onto a paved walkway. The air is still and cool. You look up at the alien sky, then back at the familiar, yet wrong buildings. You feel a growing sense of unease, a creeping dread that begins to overshadow the initial thrill of discovery. This isn't just an alternate world. It's an empty world. Where is everyone? What happened here? You start walking towards the center of the city, your footsteps the only sound in this silent metropolis. The architecture becomes grander, more imposing. The streets are wide and clean, but they are devoid of life. There are vehicles parked along the curbs, but they are strange pod-like things with no visible wheels. They look more like they should be hovering than driving. Everything is pristine, perfect, and unused. It's like walking through a blueprint, a city that has been built but never inhabited. You see shops with display windows filled with strange, elegant clothing. You see cafes with chairs and tables set out on the pavement, waiting for patrons who will never arrive. You see public squares with magnificent, abstract sculptures. But there are no people, no graffiti, no litter, no signs of life or of the mess that life inevitably creates. It's a city of uncanny echoes, a place where everything is familiar enough to be recognizable, but different enough to be profoundly unsettling. The question of where you are is slowly being replaced by the much more frightening question of what happened here. Scientists still argue about the Great Filter, the idea that some event or barrier prevents civilizations from becoming interstellar. You wonder, with a cold knot of fear in your stomach, if you've just walked into a world that didn't make it through. Are you getting sleepy? Let the silence of this strange city calm your mind. But don't fall asleep just yet. We need to figure out the rules of this place before we get trapped here forever. When you're ready, let's go a little further. You wander through the empty city for what feels like hours, a solitary ghost in a silent machine. The initial awe at the orange sky and the twin moons has given way to a persistent, knowing anxiety. The profound, unbroken silence is a presence in itself, a constant companion on your journey. Every corner you turn, you expect to see someone, to hear a voice, a snatch of music, anything to break the oppressive stillness. But there is nothing, only the faint, almost sub-audible hum of something, a low-frequency vibration that you feel more in your bones than you hear with your ears. It seems to emanate from the city itself, the gentle thrum of a sleeping giant. Your scientific curiosity begins to reassert itself over your fear. You need to understand the rules of this place, and more importantly, the rules of the portal that brought you here. Your journey back to the lab is filled with a new sense of purpose. You retrace your steps, at the familiarity of the route a small comfort in this alien landscape. The dark, glassy buildings, the black-leafed trees, the pod-like vehicles, they are already becoming landmarks in your mind. It's amazing how quickly the extraordinary can become mundane when you're trying to survive. Back in the lab building, the silence feels even deeper indoors. You push open the door to the other lab and feel a wave of relief as you see the portal, still shimmering, still stable. It's your lifeline, your glowing, magical way home. You resist the urge to jump through it immediately. You can't leave yet. You haven't learned enough. To leave now would be to flee from the greatest discovery in human history out of fear. You are a scientist first, a terrified trespasser second. You decide to conduct a few more experiments, this time from this side of the portal. You look for an object to send back through, something that is native to this universe. You find a small, metallic object on one of the clean workbenches. It looks like a tool of some kind, elegantly shaped, with no obvious function you can discern. It's cool and smooth to the touch. You walk to the portal and, with the same caution as before, you push the object through. It passes into your world without issue. You can see it clatter onto the floor of your own messy lab, a tiny, silver intruder from another reality. So the bridge is two-way for simple matter. That's good to know. Next, you need to understand its energy. A mainstream fact of physics, the law of conservation of energy, dictates that this portal can't exist without a power source. It's a hole in reality that has to cost something. You look around the other lab. There are no obvious power conduits, no humming generators. But then you remember the faint, low frequency hum you felt throughout the city. You place your hand on the wall of the lab. You can feel it here too, a gentle, steady vibration. This entire place, maybe this entire city, is powered by some unseen, ubiquitous energy source. Is the portal drawing from that? You have no tools to measure it, but you can observe. You sit down on a sterile metal stool and just watch the portal. You notice that the edge of it isn't perfectly stable. There's a slight flicker, a subtle wavering, like a candle flame in a gentle draft. You watch it for an hour, your eyes tracing its circular boundary. The wavering seems to have a rhythm, a slow pulse. As you watch, it happens. For a split second, the portal contracts, shrinking by a few inches before expanding back to its original size. It's a quick blink and you'll miss it event, but you saw it. It's unstable. This realization sends a new chill down your spine. Your lifeline, your escape hatch, is not as reliable as you thought. What if it contracts all the way? What if it just turns off? You'd be trapped here, in this silent, empty world, forever. The thought is galvanizing. You need to understand the physics of this rift, and you need to do it now. A quirky, fringe concept from theoretical physics comes to mind: the idea of Calabi, manifolds. These are complex, six-dimensional shapes that some string theorists believe might contain the hidden dimensions of our universe. The math is nightmarish, but the concept is poetic. that reality is folded up into intricate, beautiful, and invisible geometries. Perhaps this portal is a place where two of these manifolds have accidentally brushed against each other, creating a temporary tunnel. It's a wild guess, but it feels more plausible than magic. You decide to test its limits. You pick up the small terracotta pot-containing spike, your hardy succulent companion, which you'd apparently brought with you on your grand adventure without even realizing it. You must have just picked it up and carried it along. Another joke you're stressed, outbrain made without your permission. You hold Spike up to the portal, but you don't push it through. Instead, you hold it right at the edge, where the boundary is. You move it back and forth across the threshold slowly. As the pot crosses the plane, you feel that tingling, syrupy resistance. But now you notice something else. The portal flickers more intensely when an object is passing through it. The energy draw is not constant. The act of transference itself requires more power. This is a crucial discovery. The more stuff you move through, the more energy it consumes, and you hypothesize, the more unstable it becomes. This has profound implications. You couldn't, for example, build a bridge and drive a truck through it. The power requirement would be astronomical. It might even cause the portal to collapse catastrophically. Scientists still argue about the nature of space-time itself. Is it a smooth, continuous fabric, or is it quantized, made of tiny, discrete units like a digital image? Your experiment with Spike suggests it's more like a fabric, and you are pulling at the threads, putting stress on the weave. You spend another hour just observing, timing the flickers, noting the small contractions. You are building a mental model of how this thing works. It seems to have a baseline level of stability, but any interaction introduces a risk. Even the air molecules passing between the two worlds are probably having a cumulative effect. The portal is a wound, and the universe is trying to heal itself. You realize with a sinking feeling that it's not a permanent door. It's a temporary anomaly. It had a beginning, and it will inevitably have an end. The only question is when. Suddenly, your scientific expedition has a deadline. You need to learn what you can and get out before your way home vanishes forever. The empty city outside suddenly feels less like a mystery to be solved and more like a trap waiting to be sprung. Are you feeling sleepy yet? Let the low hum of the city lull you. But our time here is limited. We have more to see before we have to run for home. Let's continue when you are ready. The knowledge that the portal is a ticking clock changes the entire dynamic of your exploration. The leisurely, if unnerving, stroll through the empty city is over. Now, it's a race. What can you learn before the door closes? What is the most important information you can glean from this silent world? You decide to leave the immediate vicinity of the university campus. You need to see more to understand the scope of this emptiness. Is it just this city, or is the whole planet like this? You walk down the wide, clean boulevards, heading towards what looks like the city center, marked by a cluster of impossibly tall, twisting skyscrapers. The pod-like vehicles are everywhere, parked in neat, orderly rows. You stop by one and peer inside. The interior is minimalist, just two simple seats and a blank, dark console. There's no steering wheel, no pedals, no visible controls at all. They must be autonomous, summoned and directed by some central system. A whole city of self-driving cars, waiting for passengers. It's a techno-utopian dream turned into a dystopian nightmare. As you walk, you start to notice things you missed before. There are public information kiosks on many street corners, their screens dark and lifeless. You touch one, but nothing happens. The power grid that makes the city hum seems to be dedicated to basic infrastructure, not the public-facing interfaces. It makes sense. If no one is here to use them, why waste the energy? It's an efficient ghost town. Then you see it. Down a side street, nestled between two of the sleek, dark buildings, is another shimmer, another portal. Your heart leaps into your throat. You break into a run, the sound of your own hurried footsteps echoing strangely in the silent street. It's smaller than your portal back in the lab, only about the size of a person, and its color is different. Where yours is a swirling mix of sunset oranges and purples, this one is a cool, steady blue, like looking into the heart of a glacier. It hangs in the middle of the street, a few feet off the ground, utterly silent. You approach it cautiously, your earlier bravado gone. You know these things are unstable, but you have to look. You get close enough to see through, and your breath catches in your chest. It's not your lab. It's not this empty city. It's somewhere else entirely. Through the blue portal, you see a city bustling with life, but it's a city you don't recognize from your own world or this one. The architecture is grand, monumental, with fluted columns and marble facades reminiscent of ancient Rome. People are walking in the streets, dressed in simple toga, like garments of white and gray. They are buying goods from open-air markets, talking, laughing. There are no cars, only horse-drawn chariots and people walking. The sky is a familiar, friendly blue. It's a world where the Roman Empire, or something very much like it, never fell. A world where industrialization never happened, where society evolved along a completely different technological and cultural path. You stare, mesmerized. A mainstream fact of history is how close the Roman Empire came to an industrial revolution. They had steam engines. The Aeolipile was a real device, but they mostly used them as toys, novelties. They never made the conceptual leap to using them for mass production or transport. In the world through this blue portal, perhaps they did make a different choice. Or perhaps the social conditions that led to the empire's collapse in our world were averted. A single, different historical decision, and humanity is set on a completely different course. You feel like you're standing in a train station of the gods, with tracks leading to infinite destinations. This empty city isn't just a single alternate reality, it's a hub, a nexus point. A place where the walls between the worlds are thin and multiple doorways can appear. This is a discovery far more profound than the first. The multiverse isn't just a collection of parallel worlds, it's a network. Scientists still argue about the butterfly effect, whether a small change in the past can lead to massive, unpredictable changes in the future. What you are looking at is the ultimate proof. The flap of a butterfly's wings in ancient Rome really did change the world. A quirky, almost silly tidbit you remember is the phantom time hypothesis, a fringe theory that suggests the early Middle Ages from 614 to 911 AD were fabricated, and that we are actually living in the 18th century. It's nonsense, of course, but standing here, looking at a living Roman world, at the idea of history being fluid and uncertain suddenly feels much more real. You are tempted, so incredibly tempted, to step through this new portal, to walk the marble streets, to breathe the air of a world untouched by the frantic, consuming progress of your own. But you remember the lesson of instability. You have no idea how old this portal is or how much energy it's using. It could collapse at any moment. And even if it didn't, How would you get back? You'd be 2 steps removed from your home, lost in a labyrinth of realities. No, you can't risk it. You are a scientist, an observer. You are not an adventurer. At least, you try to tell yourself that. You back away from the blue glow, your mind reeling with the implications. How many more of these are there? Are they opening and closing all the time? Is this empty city some kind of cosmic waiting room, a space between spaces? And the biggest question of all returns with a vengeance: what happened to the people who built this place? Did they all leave through one of these portals? Did they ascend to some higher plane of existence? Or did they open one door too many, unleashing something that consumed them all? The silence of the city suddenly feels heavier, filled with the weight of this new, yet terrifying possibility. You look up at the tall, dark skyscrapers, and for the first time, they look like tombstones. Is your mind starting to wander? Let it drift on these possibilities, but stay with me. We're starting to build a bigger picture, a map of the impossible, and we need to keep filling it in before our time runs out. The discovery of the second portal, the blue gateway to a neo-Roman world, fundamentally rewrites your understanding of what's happening. You are no longer just an explorer in a single alternate dimension. You are standing in what appears to be a crossroads of realities. This empty, silent city is a nexus. The weight of this realization is immense. You feel like an ant that has stumbled into a human supercomputer, aware that something of incredible complexity is happening all around you, but possessing only the most rudimentary ability to comprehend it. You retreat from the blue portal, making a careful mental note of its location. You can't risk going through it, but its existence is a critical piece of the puzzle. You need a framework, a way to think about this without your brain short-circuiting. You start walking back toward the familiar territory of the university campus, your mind racing. You begin to formulate a new hypothesis, not just about the portal in your lab, but about the entire structure of existence. You begin to visualize the multiverse not as a series of parallel lines side by side worlds that never touch, which is the common, simplified model. Instead, you imagine it as an infinite library, a library of worlds. Every single possible universe is a book on a shelf. Each book has a unique story, dictated by the laws of physics and the outcomes of chance. The Big Bang was the printing press, and it has been running for an eternity, printing every conceivable version of the story. There are books where the dinosaurs never went extinct, books where the fundamental constants of nature are slightly different, resulting in universes of pure chaos or sterile emptiness. And there are billions upon billions of books that are almost identical, differing only in the smallest, most insignificant details. A world where you chose to wear a blue shirt this morning instead of a gray one. A world where you missed the bus. A world where you never started your late night experiment. This concept, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, is a mainstream idea in physics, though a highly debated one. It suggests that every quantum measurement, every moment of choice, causes the universe to split into multiple branches, one for each possible outcome. What you found isn't just proof of this theory, it's a way to access the library itself. The portals are the library cards, and this empty city, it feels like the main lobby, the grand, silent entrance hall. This conceptualization helps. It gives you a structure for the madness. It transforms your fear into a kind of academic reverence. You are not just lost. You are exploring the stacks of the ultimate library. You wonder what the Dewey Decimal System for realities would look like. Would it be organized by physical laws, by key historical divergence points? As you walk, you think about the inhabitants of this Nexus city. Who were they? Librarians? Or were they just another book, a civilization that learned to read the others? A quirky tidbit you once read about the Library of Babel, a short story by George Louis Borges, comes to mind. He imagined an infinite library containing every possible book, leading its inhabitants to a state of despair and madness, as any meaningful text was drowned in an ocean of gibberish. Did the people of this city suffer a similar fate? Did they become so overwhelmed by the infinite possibilities, the infinite versions of themselves, that their own reality, their own story, lost all meaning? It's a chillingly plausible explanation for the emptiness. Perhaps they didn't die. Perhaps they just dissolved into the static of infinity. You arrive back at the university campus, the familiar sight of the wrong, colored trees, and the two moons a strange comfort. You make your way back to the lab, your sanctum, your only connection to your own book in the great library. The portal is still there, your beautiful, shimmering bookmark. You feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for its existence. You sit on the clean, cold floor, leaning your back against a steel cabinet, and just think. You try to process the sheer scale of what you've uncovered. Every war, every plague, every moment of joy, every act of kindness in your world's history is just one story out of an infinite number. There are worlds where none of it happened, and worlds where it happened differently, and worlds where far worse things happened. It's a profoundly humbling and deeply unsettling perspective. It makes your own life, your own struggles and triumphs, feel both infinitely precious and infinitesimally small. Scientists still argue about the principle of mediocrity, the idea that our planet, our sun, our existence is likely to be typical rather than exceptional in the grand scheme of the cosmos. You are now confronting this principle on a multiversal scale. Your entire universe, your entire timeline is just one random volume among countless others. There is nothing special about it other than the fact that it is yours. This thought gives you a new sense of resolve. Your world, your book, is the only one you can write. Your responsibility is to your own reality. Your incredible, dangerous universe, shattering discovery must be handled with care. You can't just throw the doors of the library open. Humanity, you suspect, is not ready for the knowledge that every choice they make creates a new world, that every possible failure and success is being played out somewhere. How would society function with that knowledge? Would it lead to enlightenment, or to a kind of existential paralysis? You look at the portal, your gateway home. Your mission is no longer just to explore. It's to protect, to understand this phenomenon well enough to ensure it can be controlled, or if not controlled, then at least contained. You are no longer just a scientist, you are the unwilling gatekeeper to infinity. And as you sit there in the profound silence of the Nexus, you realize you can hear something. It's not the hum of the city, it's something else, a faint, rhythmic static coming from one of the lab's communication consoles. It's a sound that shouldn't be possible in this dead, silent place. It sounds like a whisper from another world. Are you feeling that comfortable, heavy feeling behind your eyes? Let your own thoughts drift and wander through this infinite library, but don't close the book just yet. We need to find out who is whispering. Let's listen in when you're ready. The sound is faint, barely there, a rhythmic hiss of static that seems to be trying to resolve itself into a pattern. It's coming from a large communications console against the far wall of the other lab. The screen is dark, but a single, small indicator light is blinking a soft, white glow. In a city where every other public-facing piece of tech seems to be dormant, this is a significant anomaly. The sound itself is a violation of the tomb, like silence you've grown accustomed to. It's the first sign of active technology you've encountered outside of the city's deep, infrastructural hum. You get up and walk over to the console, your movements slow and deliberate. The static gets slightly louder as you approach. It's not a random hiss. There's a cadence to it, a rise and fall, like a distorted voice speaking just below the threshold of comprehension. It's deeply eerie. You run your hand over the console. It's made of the same cool, seamless material as everything else in this city. There are no obvious buttons or switches, only a series of smooth, shallow indentations that might be a keyboard. You press one, nothing happens. You press another, still nothing. You lean closer to the source of the sound, a small, grilled speaker embedded in the console. The static whispers to you. Sha kra voom sha. It's tantalizingly close to being language. You feel like someone trying to tune an old shortwave radio, turning the dial through a sea of noise, searching for a clear signal. You wonder if this is a transmission from the builders of this city, a pre-recorded message left behind, a final diary entry from a lost civilization. Then the sound changes. For a brief moment, the static clears and you hear a voice. It's distorted, metallic, and faint, but it's unmistakably a voice. It speaks only a few words, in a language you don't understand, but the tone is clear. It sounds inquisitive, like a question. Then it's gone, as swallowed by the hiss again. You stand frozen, your blood running cold. That wasn't a recording. The cadence, the timing, it felt live. Someone is broadcasting. But from where? A mainstream fact in communication is the inverse square law. The strength of a signal decreases drastically with distance. For you to be picking up a signal this faint, its source must be either incredibly far away or very low powered and nearby. Given that you're in a seemingly empty world, far away takes on a whole new meaning. Are you picking up a stray radio signal from another universe entirely? Is this console not just a receiver, but a trans-dimensional one? You place your hands on the sides of the console, trying to feel for any vibration, any clue to its operation. As your right hand rests on a smooth panel, the screen flickers to life. It glows with a soft, white light, displaying a complex star-like diagram of interlocking lines and nodes. It's a map, not of a city or a country, but of connections. At the center is a bright, pulsing dot, which you assume represents this nexus reality. Branching off from it are dozens of thinner lines, each leading to a smaller node. One of those nodes is glowing with the same cool blue as the Roman world portal you saw. Another, much closer to the center, is glowing with the sunset, orange of your own portal. And then you see it. A third line on the far side of the map is flickering faintly, and the rhythmic static you're hearing is pulsing in time with that flicker. It's a signal from another universe, being routed through this nexus. You are looking at the switchboard of the multiverse. The console is not just a receiver, it's a graphical interface for the entire network. This is a level of technology so far beyond your own comprehension that it feels like magic. It's one thing to accidentally stumble upon a natural rift in space-time. It's another entirely to find a civilization that had mastered it, mapped it, and built an interface to navigate it. Scientists still argue about the Kardashev scale, a method of measuring a civilization's technological advancement based on its energy consumption. A Type I civilization can harness all the energy of its planet, a Type II its star, and a Type III its galaxy. What you're looking at is the work of a civilization that is off the scale entirely. A Type IV, perhaps, that harnesses the energy of multiple universes. You touch the flickering node on the screen. The static from the speaker instantly becomes clearer, the hiss receding. You can hear the voice again, still distorted, but more defined. And then you hear another voice answer it. They are having a conversation. The language is alien, the words are meaningless to you, but the rhythm of dialogue is universal. A question, a pause, a reply. A quirky tidbit about linguistics pops into your head. The concept of universal grammar, the theory that all human languages share a common underlying structure, perhaps that extends to all intelligent life. Perhaps the cadence of conversation is a constant across all realities. You listen, captivated, and then one of the voices says a word that you understand, a word that is so unexpected, so jarring, that you physically recoil from the console. It says your name. It's impossible. It has to be a coincidence, a trick of the static, your brain imposing a pattern on the noise. But you heard it. As clear as day, amidst the alien chatter, one of the voices spoke your name. How? How could they possibly know who you are? 1,000 terrifying explanations bloom in your mind. Are they watching you? Have they been observing you since you arrived? Or is the explanation even stranger? You look at the map on the screen, at the countless nodes connected to this hub. You think about the infinite library, the endless variations. The most logical and most terrifying conclusion is that the voice you're hearing doesn't belong to an alien. It belongs to another you, another version of yourself from another timeline, who also discovered a portal, who is also exploring this impossible frontier. And if there is one other you, there could be dozens, hundreds, all stumbling through the multiverse, all connected, however briefly, through this ancient, silent switchboard. The whispers you are hearing are from the other side, but it's a side that is hauntingly familiar. They are the whispers of yourself. Your feeling of solitude, of being the sole pioneering explorer, shatters in an instant. You are not alone in this, not by a long shot. The multiverse is not an empty wilderness. It has other explorers, and some of them, it seems, already know your name. Is your own mind starting to feel a little like static? Let the rhythmic hiss soothe you into a state of deep relaxation. But don't tune out completely. There are more signals to decipher, more worlds to see. When you are ready, let's explore another channel. The realization that other versions of you might be out there, exploring the same multiversal network, is a paradigm shift more profound than any you've yet experienced. Hearing your own name spoken by an alien tongue from another reality is one thing. Realizing it was likely spoken by another you is a whole other level of existential vertigo. You stare at the glowing map on the console, the web of interconnected worlds, and it no longer feels like a schematic of the universe. It feels like a family tree. You pull your hand back from the screen, and the signal from the other, you fades back into the general static. You need a moment to process this. You are not a singular hero on a unique journey. You are part of a cohort, a class of explorers scattered across the probability waves of existence. Are they all like you? Did they all stumble upon this by accident? Or were some of them more deliberate? Are there versions of you who are more advanced, who understand this technology far better than you do? The thought is both comforting and intimidating. Your curiosity, as always, wins out over your fear. You turn back to the console, head to the map of worlds. You can't risk opening a channel to another you again. Not yet. The psychological implications are too much to handle right now. Instead, your eyes are drawn to another node on the map. It's glowing with a steady, silvery light, and the line connecting it to the central hub is thick and well defined, suggesting a strong, stable connection. It looks inviting. You decide to take a calculated risk. You're not going to travel there, not yet, but you want to see. This console is clearly more than just an audio switchboard. You trace the smooth indentations on its surface, mimicking the motions of using a keyboard and mouse, hoping for an intuitive interface. As your fingers slide across a particular area, the map on the screen zooms in on the silver node. A new set of symbols appears. You press one, a simple geometric shape like a stylized eye. The screen flickers and changes. The map is replaced by a visual feed. It's like looking through another portal, but a safe, digital one. Your breath catches in your throat. You are looking at a city of breathtaking beauty. It's a city made of glass. Or not glass, but some kind of transparent, crystalline material. Towers that look like giant, multifaceted quartz crystals scrape the sky, their surfaces refracting the light of a brilliant white sun into 1,000 rainbows. Bridges of woven light arc between the spires, and on them you can see sleek, teardrop-shaped vehicles gliding silently along. The sky is a deep, pure violet, and floating in it are what look like organic, biological structures, like giant, glowing jellyfish drifting lazily in the upper atmosphere. The city is teeming with life. The inhabitants are tall, slender beings, moving with an unnerving grace. Their forms are humanoid, but their skin has a pale, pearlescent sheen, and their limbs are long and delicate. They are beautiful and completely alien. You watch, utterly spellbound, as one of them raises a hand to touch one of the crystalline walls, and the wall ripples in response, head glowing with a soft inner light. The entire city seems to be alive, a single, interconnected, technological organism. A quirky tidbit from materials science comes to mind. Your own world's technology is overwhelmingly based on carving and shaping metals and plastics. But there's another way to build growth. We are just beginning to explore things like lab-grown crystals or biologically inspired materials. This world, it seems, based its entire technological revolution not on metallurgy, but on advanced silicon growth and crystalline engineering. They don't build their cities, they grow them. The result is a world that is both a city and a forest, a machine and a living thing. You zoom the camera in, your fingers flying across the console with a newfound intuition. You focus on one of the plazas, a vast, open space paved with glowing tiles. The slender beings are milling about, but they aren't talking. They seem to communicate by touching, placing their long fingers on each other's arms or shoulders, creating brief, silent flashes of light. It's a form of tactile telepathy, perhaps, a society without sound, a stark contrast to the chatty, chaotic worlds of your own kind. A mainstream fact of biology is that life will adapt to its environment, evolving to fill every possible niche. It seems the same is true of technology and society. In a world made of responsive, interconnected crystal, perhaps verbal communication became obsolete. Why shout across a room when you can send a thought through the floor? You are witnessing a completely different solution to the problem of civilization. As you watch, you notice that everything is clean, not just clean like the empty Nexus city, but pristine on a level that seems impossible. There is no dust, no waste, no decay. The crystalline structures seem to heal themselves, small imperfections smoothing over in real time. The beings themselves look perfect, ageless. It's a utopia, a perfect, silent, beautiful utopia. And it's the most unsettling thing you've ever seen. There's a sterile quality to the perfection. A lack of friction, a lack of mess, a lack of the chaotic, unpredictable. Wonderful entropy that defines life in your world. You think of the scuffed floor in your lab, the coffee rings on your desk, the joyful mess of a city park on a sunny day. This crystalline city is beautiful, but it feels cold, inhuman. Scientists still argue about the ultimate fate of a sufficiently advanced civilization. Do they self-destruct, or do they transcend into some state of pure information or energy? This crystalline world suggests a third option. They perfect themselves into a state of beautiful, static, unchanging art. They become the museum exhibit of their own success. You feel a sudden, intense longing for home. Not just for your lab, but for your flawed, messy, noisy world. For dirt and rust and arguments and bad jokes and all the imperfect things that make it real. This glimpse into a possible future, a future of sterile perfection, is more frightening in its own way than the empty city or the Roman world. It's a reminder that not all progress is desirable. You pull your hands away from the console, and the visual feed snaps off, replaced by the star map. You look back at your own portal, the warm, chaotic sunset of its colors a welcome sight. Your time here is running out. The instability of the portal is a constant threat. But your perspective has shifted again. You are no longer just trying to get home. You are trying to get home to your specific brand of beautiful imperfection. The crystalline city was a warning. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what doors you open. Because some utopias are traps. Are you feeling that gentle pull towards sleep? Let the image of the silent, crystal city fade from your mind. It's a beautiful but cold place to visit. Our own world, with all its flaws, is waiting. Let's make our way back, but carefully. There are still dangers ahead. The stark beauty of the crystalline city leaves a lasting impression on you, a strange mix of awe and revulsion. It serves as a powerful reminder that different doesn't always mean better. With a renewed sense of urgency, you turn your attention back to the most critical element of your situation, your escape route. The portal. Your beautiful, chaotic, and frighteningly unstable portal home. You've been away from it for hours, exploring the Nexus city, and you have no idea if its condition has degraded. You walk over to it, your heart rate kicking up a notch. It still looks the same, a 4-foot circle of swirling orange and purple light. But you are seeing it with new eyes now, the eyes of someone who has learned just how fragile these connections can be. You watch it intently, looking for any change in the flicker rate, any sign of the contractions you observed earlier. It seems stable for now, but for now is a terrifyingly vague measurement of time. You decide you need to run one more test. A stupid, dangerous test, but a necessary one. You need to know how the portal reacts to a larger, more complex biological mass passing through it. You are, after all, a larger and more complex biological mass than Spike the succulent. You need to simulate your own passage through the gate without actually taking the final, irreversible step of going home. You look around the empty lab for a suitable test subject. There are no lab rats, no sleeping security guards, nothing. Then your eyes land on one of the tall, metal stools. It's not biological, but it's heavy. It's a significant chunk of mass. It will have to do. You drag the stool over to the portal. It makes a horrible scraping sound on the pristine floor, a vulgar noise in the sacred silence. It feels like a small act of vandalism, and you find you don't mind at all. You lift the stool, positioning it in front of you like a shield. You take a deep breath and shove it into the portal. The moment the metal legs cross the threshold, the portal reacts violently. It's not the gentle, syrupy resistance you felt before. The air crackles with energy. The swirling colors of the portal flare, brightening to an almost blinding intensity. A loud, tearing sound, like ripping fabric the size of a mountain, fills the lab. The low hum of the city outside rises to a deafening roar. The floor beneath your feet vibrates so intensely that the stool is nearly shaken from your grasp. You've made a terrible mistake. You've overloaded it. The stool is halfway through stuck. The portal is constricting around it, trying to force it out, trying to heal the wound you've just torn in it. The circle of light shrinks, its edges ragged and angry, sparks of golden energy flying off into the lab. One of them hits a nearby console, which flashes and goes dark with a sad little pop. You are in a tug of war with a collapsing dimension. You pull back on the stool with all your might, your muscles screaming in protest. The portal pulls back, a force of nature trying to crush the foreign object in its grasp. The metal of the stool groans, twisting under the impossible pressure. A mainstream fact you know is that pressure is force distributed over an area. The force being exerted on that small area of the stool is astronomical, enough to warp steel as if it were clay. For a terrifying second, you think you're going to be pulled in with it. But with a final, desperate heave, you wrench the stool free. It flies backwards, out of your hands, and clatters across the room. At the same moment, the portal snaps shut. It doesn't fade away. It doesn't shrink into nothingness. It implodes. The circle of light collapses in on itself with a deafening CRSK, like a thunderclap right next to your ear. A shockwave of pure force erupts from the point where it vanished, throwing you backwards off your feet. You land hard on the floor, your head smacking against the cold, hard surface. Your vision swims. The air is filled with the smell of ozone, sharp and acrid. And then silence. A silence more profound and absolute than any you have experienced before. The hum of the city is gone. The portal is gone. You lie there for a moment stunned, your ears ringing. You push yourself up, your body aching. You look at the spot where your beautiful, a shimmering lifeline used to be. There is nothing, just the blank wall and the shelving unit behind it. Your way home has vanished. The door has not just closed, it has been ripped off its hinges and vaporized. Panic, cold and absolute, floods your system. You scramble to your feet and rush to the spot, running your hands over the smooth, empty air. It's gone. It's really gone. You are trapped, stranded in an empty universe, a ghost in a dead city, with no way back. This is it. This is how it ends. You thought you were a scientist, an explorer. But you were just a fool who played with forces you couldn't comprehend. A quirky tidbit you once read describes chronophobia, the fear of the future, of time moving forward. What you feel now is the opposite, a fear of time being stuck, of an eternal, silent, unchanging present. Your mind races, desperately searching for a solution. The other portal, the blue one, the gateway to the Roman world. It's a chance, a slim, insane, 1 in a billion chance. Could you get there? And if you did, Could you find a way back from that world to your own? It's a multi-step journey into the unknown, a leap of faith off a cosmic cliff. But it's the only hope you have. Scientists still argue about whether true randomness exists in the universe or if everything is predetermined. Staring at the blank wall where your hopes just died, you decide you have to believe in chance. You have to believe that another door will open, somewhere, somehow. Your scientific expedition is officially over. This is now a desperate scramble for survival. You grab the only thing you have that feels like a companion. Spike, the hardy succulent, whose pot is miraculously intact, and you run. You run out of the lab, out of the silent university, and into the streets of the alien city under the pale orange light of a sky that is no longer beautiful, but terrifyingly permanent. You are running towards a memory, a faint blue glow in a forgotten side street, your last, desperate hope in a universe that has suddenly become a prison. Are you still awake, or has the shock sent you into slumber? Your own bed is a safe harbor, but our journey isn't over. We have to see if there's a way out of this trap. Let's keep moving when you're ready. You run through the silent, geometric streets of the Nexus City, the small terracotta pot with Spike the succulent clutched in your hands like a holy relic. It's the only piece of your world you have left, a small, green, living thing in a universe of sterile perfection and echoing emptiness. The adrenaline of the portal's collapse is still pounding through you, a frantic drumbeat against the overwhelming silence. Your only thought, your only goal, is the blue portal, the gateway to Neo, Rome. It's a terrible plan. It's a desperate plan. It's the only plan you have. As you run, a new and chilling thought begins to form in your mind, a fear that pushes past the immediate terror of being stranded. It's about the other use. The voices on the console. If your portal collapsed so violently, what about theirs? Are these portals all connected in some way? Did your clumsy experiment with the metal stool send a shockwave through the entire network, destabilizing other connections? Did you just inadvertently trap, or even kill, other versions of yourself? The weight of that potential guilt is crushing, a burden almost as heavy as your own predicament. You finally reach the side street where you saw the blue shimmer. You skid to a halt, your heart sinking into your stomach. It's gone. The space where the cool, glacial light had been hanging is now just empty air. The connection is closed. Your last, desperate hope has evaporated. You stand there, panting, in the middle of the street, utterly, completely defeated. There are no more options, no more portals, no more plans. You are well and truly lost. You slump down onto the curb, the hard edge pressing into your legs. You place Spike's pot gently on the pavement beside you. The two moons hang in the orange sky, impassive, indifferent witnesses to your despair. For the first time, you allow the full weight of your situation to wash over you. The scientific curiosity, the thrill of discovery, the frantic struggle for survival. It all drains away, leaving only a hollow, aching void. You are alone, in a dead world, billions of miles and one collapsed dimension away from everything you've ever known. You put your head in your hands, and for the first time since this whole insane journey began, you feel the hot sting of tears in your eyes. You sit there for a long time as the pale orange light of the city begins to slowly dim. This world has a day-night cycle. Then, another small, cruel reminder of the home you'll never see again. A quirky tidbit from psychology asserts that allowing oneself to experience grief is a necessary step in processing trauma. You are certainly processing. As darkness falls, the city begins to change. The low hum you'd grown accustomed to, the one that vanished when your portal collapsed, slowly returns. And with it, the city's lights begin to turn on. Soft, as glowing lines appear along the edges of the buildings, and the crystalline towers in the distance begin to pulse with a gentle, inner luminescence. The city is not dead, just automated. It follows its rhythms, its programming, whether anyone is here to see it or not. It's in this growing twilight that you see him. He is standing at the far end of the street, about 100 yards away, partially obscured by the shadow of a building. At first, you think your mind is playing tricks on you, conjuring a phantom out of sheer desperation, but he is solid real. He is just watching you, and he is shaped just like you. He has your height, your build. He is wearing the same clothes, the practical pants, the slightly too worn sweater. Your heart stops. It's the Doppelganger, the other you. The possibility you had nervously joked about, the one you had heard on the console, is now standing right there. You get to your feet slowly, every muscle tensed. Is he real? Is he a threat? Is he another explorer who is just as trapped and terrified as you are? He takes a step out of the shadows into the soft glow of the city's lights, and you see his face. It is your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, but it's not your expression. His face is calm, composed, almost serene. There is no panic in his eyes, no despair. He looks at you with a kind of gentle pity. He raises a hand, not in a wave, but in a simple, placating gesture. Then he speaks. His voice is not a distorted crackle from a console. It is clear, and it is your voice. But it's calmer, more measured than you've ever heard your own voice sound. It collapsed, didn't it? He says. The words are simple, but they hit you with the force of a physical blow. He knows. He knew your portal was there. He knew it was going to collapse. This encounter goes against a mainstream, almost primal fear. The fear of the double, the fetch, have the uncanny twin who signals your own demise. It's a theme in folklore all over the world. To meet your own double is a terrible omen. But as you look at him, you don't feel fear. You feel a profound sense of confusion. Who are you? You manage to stammer, the words feeling clumsy and thick in your own mouth. He takes another step closer. I'm you, he says, with a small, sad smile. Just a version who's been here a lot longer. I've learned the rules. The implications of this statement are staggering. He's not a recent arrival. He's a resident, a castaway who has somehow learned to survive, even thrive, in this empty nexus. Scientists still argue about the nature of consciousness and identity. What makes you you? Is it your memories? Your physical body, standing in front of an alternate version of yourself who shares your body, but has a completely different set of memories and experiences? You are confronted with the terrifying fragility of your own identity. He is you, and he is not you at the same time. He is a living paradox. How? You ask, a single word that contains a universe of questions. How did you survive? How did you learn the rules? How are you so calm when you are just as trapped as I am? This place isn't a prison, he says, his voice soft in the quiet street. Not if you know how to listen. The doors don't just close, they also open. You just have to be patient, and you have to stop trying to force them. He glances in the direction of your now vanished portal. They don't like being forced. His calm, his knowledge, his presence, it changes everything. You are no longer alone. You have found the one person in all of existence who can possibly understand what you're going through. He is a guide, a mentor, a reflection of a future you might have. You look at your own trembling hands, and then at his, which are steady at his sides. He is what you could become if you can let go of the panic and start to learn. The doppelganger isn't an omen of death. He's a beacon of hope. Are you feeling relaxed now? The panic is over. We have found a guide. Let his calm voice soothe you. But the story isn't over. We have to learn the rules from him. Let's listen to what he has to say. When you are ready, you stand on the softly lit street, facing the impossible, a version of yourself who is not a panicked castaway, but a calm, seasoned inhabitant of the Nexus. His composure is a stark contrast to the frantic terror that has been your constant companion. He is a puzzle you desperately need to solve. He represents a future you couldn't have imagined, one of survival and adaptation rather than despair. What do you mean they don't like being forced? You ask, your voice still shaky. What is they? The other you. You decide to call him calm you in your head. Gestures vaguely at the glowing buildings around you, at the violet sky above. The Nexus, he says. This place, it's not just a physical location. It's, well, I'm still working on the exact terminology. It's a system, maybe even a life form of a sort. It has rhythms, it has rules, and it has a purpose. This idea is staggering. You had thought of the Nexus as a passive, geographical anomaly, a place where realities were thin. He's describing it as an active, almost intelligent entity. It reframes everything you've seen, the automated lights, the self-repairing structures, the ubiquitous hum. Perhaps it's not just the ghost of a civilization's technology, but the biology of a vast, trans-dimensional organism. The portals. He continues walking slowly towards you, his footsteps making soft, unhurried sounds on the pavement. Are not random tears. They are apertures, like pores in a skin. They open and close to regulate something. Pressure, maybe. Information. Energy. I don't know. But the connections are delicate. When you forced that stool through yours, you tore the skin. So the Nexus sealed the wound, violently. It all makes a terrifying kind of sense. You weren't just a clumsy scientist. You were a virus, an infection, and the Nexus generated an immune response. Your portal's collapse wasn't an accident. It was a targeted defensive action. You look down at Spike, the little succulent, who has sat patiently through all this existential horror. But small things went through fine, you say, thinking of the pen and Spike himself. Small things are like dust. Calm, you says, stopping a few feet away. You can see your own face so clearly now, but with lines of experience around the eyes that you don't have. They pass through without triggering a response. But a large, complex, non-native object pushed through with force. That's an attack. You were lucky it didn't kill you. You shudder, realizing how close you came to being erased. So the blue portal, it closed for the same reason. No, he says, shaking his head. That was just its time. It opened. It was stable for a while, and it closed, like a tide going out. There will be others. This is the kernel of hope you've been desperate for. So we're not trapped. We're not trapped, he confirms. We're just between destinations. You have to learn to wait, to watch, to listen, and to be ready when a door opens, and most importantly, to know which doors are safe. He leads you from the side street back to the main campus, to the silent, pristine university that you both, in your own timelines, call a second home. He walks with a familiarity that you lack, pointing out subtle things you missed, a patch of wall that shimmers with a faint internal light. He tells you that's a sign of a thinning reality, a potential future portal site, a particular pitch in the city's hum that, he says, indicates an energy surge somewhere in the network. He has learned the language of the Nexus. A mainstream fact in animal behavior is that animals can sense things humans can't. Impending earthquakes, changes in atmospheric pressure. CommU has developed a similar sixth sense for the physics of this place. He takes you to a different lab, 2 floors down from your own. It's identical in layout, but he has made it a home. There's a makeshift bed in the corner, a collection of strange, metallic fruits from some unseen arboreal world, and a device that looks like a small, intricate orrery, its tiny spheres glowing and moving in complex patterns. He tells you it's his map, a passive receiver he built that monitors the Nexus's energy flows. It's a far more elegant and advanced version of the brute force console you were using. You decide, in this moment of relative safety, to do something that feels both deeply sentimental and scientifically necessary. You are going to leave a message. Not for another world, but for this one, for yourself. You take a sharp tool from CommU's workbench, a piece of sharpened, alien metal, and you walk over to Spike's terracotta pot. Carefully, you scratch a message into its side. You don't write words. Language might not be a constant. Instead, you draw a picture, a simple diagram, a circle with a dot in the middle, the symbol for the sun, a smaller circle orbiting it, and a third, even smaller circle orbiting that one, Earth and its moon, a simple, unique marker of your home system, a cosmic address in a bottle. A quirky tidbit you recall is the Pioneer plaque, a gold anodized aluminum plaque placed on the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft, featuring a pictorial message from humanity, a similar, hopeful gesture sent out into the vast emptiness of space. Your message feels smaller, but just as profound. It's a testament that you were here, that this version of you, the panicked, clumsy, terrified one, existed. CommU watches you, his expression unreadable. A good idea, he says softly, leaving a mark. It's important to remember which you are. Scientists still argue about the ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every plank of a ship over time, is it still the same ship at the end? You look at CommU, and you look at yourself. You are the same person, the same ship, but he has replaced all his planks of experience, his knowledge, his perspective. Is he still you? And if you stay here, and you learn, and you change, at what point do you stop being the person who first stepped through that shimmering door? Leaving the mark on the pot feels like an anchor, a way to moor your identity before it drifts away on this strange, silent sea. You are the you from the one moon world, and you will not forget it. Are you sinking into that comfortable space between wakefulness and dreams? Let the quiet calm of this strange sanctuary soothe you. We are safe for now, but we still have to get home. Let's see what tomorrow brings when you are ready. You spend the next few days, or what you perceive as days, based on the rhythmic dimming and brightening of the orange sky, under the tutelage of your calmer, wiser self. It's the most surreal and intense period of learning in your life. He teaches you how to listen to the Nexus, to interpret the subtle shifts in the city's ambient hum, to read the faint light patterns on the walls that predict a portal's formation. You learn that the Nexus is most active during the night, when the energy demands of the local reality are at their lowest. The portals, he explains, are like nocturnal flowers blooming in the quiet darkness. During the day, you explore. But your exploration is different now. It's not a panicked search, but a careful, methodical survey. Calm You shows you a library, not a metaphorical one, but a real, physical library. The books are not paper, but thin, flexible sheets of a crystalline substance that display text and images when you touch them. The language is still alien, but the diagrams are universal. You see star charts of unknown constellations, anatomical drawings of bizarre creatures, and complex schematics that seem to depict the very physics of the Nexus itself. You realize this was the library of the city's original inhabitants, the librarians, as Calm You calls them. They weren't just living in a Nexus, they were studying it. You ask him the question that has been burning in your mind since you first saw the empty city. What happened to them? The librarians. He takes you to a vast, circular chamber at the heart of the university. The ceiling is a dome that shows a real, time map of the portal network, a far grander version of his desktop device. It's beautiful and mesmerizing. They left, he says, his voice echoing slightly in the large space. They did what every advanced civilization eventually does. They moved on. Moved on where? You ask. He points to the very center of the dome, to a point of brilliant, white light from which all the lines of the network seem to emerge. There, the heart of the library, the source. They learned everything they could from the branching realities, and then they went back to the origin. At least, that's my theory. It's a conclusion that sidesteps the more terrifying possibilities of self, destruction, or cosmic doom. It paints the librarians not as victims, but as graduates. As you become more attuned to the Nexus, you start to notice something unsettling, and your very presence and that of Calm You has a subtle effect on this place. In the areas where you spend the most time, the lab, the library, the great chamber, the portal formations have become slightly more frequent and slightly more erratic. It's a tiny, almost unmeasurable effect, but it's there. You are not just passive observers. You are changing the system by observing it. This is a multiversal version of the observer effect, a mainstream fact from quantum physics, where the act of measuring a particle's property inevitably changes that property. By being here, by thinking, by moving, by consuming the strange fruit, you are introducing a new variable into this finely tuned equation. Your consciousness is a rock thrown into a placid pond, and the ripples are spreading through the network. This realization is deeply sobering. You remember your worry about having inadvertently harmed other versions of yourself by collapsing your portal. Now you see that even your quietest presence could have unintended consequences on a cosmic scale. A quirky tidbit from chaos theory is that the butterfly effect is not just about a butterfly flapping its wings and causing a hurricane. It's about the fact that in a complex system, it's impossible to predict which tiny inputs will lead to massive outputs. Your decision to drink coffee instead of tea one morning in your own world might have, through an infinitely complex chain of multiversal cause and effect, contributed to the instability that trapped you here. The thought is dizzying, a kind of retroactive guilt for actions you didn't even know were consequential. You discuss this with Calm You. He nods, his expression somber. I know, he says. I've seen it. I once opened a brief portal to a world that was almost identical to our own. But in it, a species of flightless bird had never gone extinct. I only watched it for a minute. When I checked back a week later, the portal that opened was to a barren, lifeless desert. My observation, My connection had somehow shifted its reality track. I closed a door for them without ever setting foot in their world. His confession hangs in the air between you. This is the terrible burden of the explorer, the weight that comes with this knowledge. You are not just responsible for your own actions, but for their echoes across infinity. Scientists still argue about the ethical implications of future technologies like artificial intelligence and genetic engineering, but those debates pale in comparison to the ethics of multiverse travel. What right do you have to even look at another world if the act of looking can unmake it? This new understanding solidifies your desire to go home, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of the entire multiverse. You don't belong here. You are a contaminant, a source of instability. Your conversation with ComU shifts from academic exploration to practical escape planning. He tells you that portals leading back to home type realities, ones with a single yellow sun and a single moon, are rare, but they do appear. They are often brief and require a huge amount of energy from the Nexus. You will have one chance, and you will have to be ready. You spend your time preparing. You gather a small pack of the strange, long-lasting fruit. You study the portal map in the Great Chamber, learning to recognize the signature of a reality that matches your own, and you take care of Spike, your small, green anchor to your home reality. You look at the simple, a perfect drawing of the earth and moon you scratched on his pot. It's more than a message now. It's a promise to get him and yourself back to the world where you belong before your presence here causes any more damage. The weight of the observer effect is heavy, and it has turned your grand adventure into a moral imperative to leave. Are you drifting away on these cosmic currents? It's all right. Let your consciousness be light, without consequence. The end of our journey is in sight. One last step awaits. When you are ready, we will take it. The day finally comes, or rather, the night. You are with ComU in the great domed chamber, watching the celestial ballot of the portal map when he points to a tiny, nascent node just beginning to form. There, he says, his voice tense with anticipation for the first time since you met him. Look at the energy signature. The spectral analysis, G-type main sequence star, single lunar mass satellite, high oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. He is rattling off the specifications of your home as easily as if he were ordering a pizza. Your heart begins to pound. Is it mine? You ask, your voice barely a whisper. There's no way to be sure, he admits. There are thousands of worlds that fit that description, but it's the closest match I've seen in a long time. It will open in that auxiliary lab bay at the end of the hall, the one with the cracked window. He even knows the specific location where it will manifest. It will be stable for approximately 90 seconds. Then it will close. And a portal like that might not open again for years. 90 seconds. A minute and a half to cross a universe and end a nightmare. There's no time for long goodbyes, no time for hesitation. You grab your small pack of alien fruit. You pick up Spike's pot, your hand trembling slightly as you cradle the small ceramic vessel. This is it. You look at ComU, at your own face, weathered by time and experience you can only imagine. Are you coming? You ask, even though you already know the answer. He shakes his head, a small, sad smile on his lips. This is my home now, he says. My presence here is a known variable. My ripples have already spread. If I left, it would unbalance the system in a different way. And besides, he looks around the great chamber at the map of infinity. My work isn't done. I'm a librarian now. It's what I do. You understand. He has found his purpose in this strange, empty place. He has become part of the nexus. You are still just a visitor, a contaminant. You belong to your own world, with its own problems and its own messy, beautiful imperfections. Thank you, you say, and the words feel impossibly small, inadequate to express the gratitude you feel. He saved your life, not just by showing you how to survive, but by showing you that survival was possible. Go, he says, his eyes fixed on the map. It's open. Now, you don't wait for another word. You turn and run, your footsteps echoing in the vast, empty halls of the university for the last time. You sprint down the corridor, past the labs where you first arrived, past the silent classrooms. You reach the auxiliary bay he mentioned and skid to a halt. There it is. Not a swirling vortex of color, but a simple, unassuming hole in the air. It's about the size of a doorway, and through it, you see something that makes you want to weep with joy. It's a messy, cluttered laboratory. Your messy, cluttered laboratory. Your coffee mug is on the desk. Your coat is slung over the chair. And through the window, you can see the deep, familiar blue of a night sky, lit by the friendly, singular glow of your moon. You don't hesitate. You don't run a final test. You trust him. You trust the nexus. You take one last breath of the sterile, alien air, and you step through the portal. The transition is instantaneous. There is no tingling, no fizzing, no sound. One moment you are in the nexus, the next you are home. The portal snaps shut behind you with a faint pop, like a soap bubble bursting. The air in your lab is warm, and it smells of dust and old books and cold coffee. It's the most beautiful smell in the world. You are standing in your own lab, in your own reality. You are safe. You are home. You check the clock on your computer. Only a few hours have passed since you first saw the shimmer. For you, it has been days of terror and wonder. You have lived a lifetime in another place, while here, the world simply went about its business, oblivious. You look at your hands. They are your hands, the same ones that touched an alien console and held alien fruit. You look in a reflective piece of equipment and see your own face, panicked and wide-eyed, not the serene, knowing face of your other self. You are you, the you from the one moon world, and you are back. You place Spike's pot on the windowsill, right where it belongs. The little succulent looks no worse for wear, a silent, stoic companion who has crossed universes and returned. You trace the little drawing of the earth and moon you scratched into its side. It's a scar, a secret, a reminder of the impossible journey you have taken. You now carry the biggest secret in the history of humankind. You have seen other worlds, and you have met yourself, and you have returned. The question is, what do you do now? Do you tell someone? Do you try to replicate the event? Or do you honor the lesson you learned from the librarians and from your other self? The lesson that some doors are best left unopened. You look at the blank wall where the portal once shimmered, and you know the answer. You will keep the secret. The library is too vast, and humanity is not ready for the catalog. Your journey is over now. The adrenaline has faded, and a deep, profound sense of peace settles over you. You are back in your own reality, tucked safely in your bed. The memory of the orange sky and the crystalline city begins to soften, to feel less like a sharp, edged experience and more like the fading remnants of a dream. Let the silence of your own night, a silence filled with the familiar, comforting sounds of your own world, be a gentle blanket. The vast, Silent library of worlds is still out there, its infinite books resting on their shelves, but you are not there tonight. You are here. You are in your own story, in your own comfortable, quiet room. Your breathing is slow and deep now, each breath drawing you further away from the adventure and closer to a deep and restful sleep. There are no more portals to run through, no more cosmic rules to learn. There is only the gentle gravity of your bed, the soft weight of your blanket, and the quiet, steady rhythm of your own heart beating in time with a universe that is exactly as it should be. The adventure is over. It is time to rest. Let the last vestiges of the story drift away like motes of dust in a sunbeam, leaving only calm and stillness in their wake.